everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Geek Bites, brought to you by the
Geek
Buddies. The best I can do. Best I can do.
Hey! I didn't know Kermit the Frog or Yoda was one of our buddies, but okay, we'll take it.
I can't do the Shannon. I can't do the Shannon raspy 9 a.m. buddies as well as he can. So I do the best I can with it.
I love that you just went full Frank Oz though. Buddies. That's how we should do it. That's the way we're gonna do it from now on.
It sounds good. Well, we both got the memo. We're wearing red shirts, but we are excited to be jumping into episode 4 of season 3 of the Bad Batch. This final season of the Bad Batch. We're going to spoiler review it here on this particular episode of the Geek Buddies. Spoiler review it, but first let's introduce ourselves. I'm the Outlaw John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Geek Buddies and the Geek Bites.
I am Michael Vogel. I'm a writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies, and you can currently see some of my animated work on YouTube and Netflix with Strawberry Shortcake, Berry in the Big City, seasons 1 and 2 on YouTube and Netflix, season 3 on YouTube, and the Strawberry Shortcake CG seasonal specials, 2 of them currently on Netflix, 2 more coming out later this year. That's why we got a berry on our chest.
Bang.
Boom.
Bang, love it. And of course, we're missing Shannon McClung this week. He is out at working, and so he wasn't able to make our scheduled review for this one. But
he's out training a raptor.
Yeah, that's it. He's out training a raptor, but he will return at some point. And just to let you all know, Shannon and I will be going live on Friday night at 6 p.m. PT to do a Geek Buddies live show. Unfortunately, Mr. Vogel is out on that one because he's got things going on this weekend, but we will possibly do an Avatar the Last Airbender review this weekend, and we're looking at a Dune 2 spoiler review live on Monday night at 6 p.m. PT. So just letting you know our schedule over the next few days. Mikey, anything to add to that?
We're heating up. We're heating up with the geek stuff.
I
was looking ahead at like the stuff that's coming out, and like we've had like a nice little break where it was like, let's just do our Geek Buddies show and do a couple spoiler reviews for some movies, and yeah. It's gonna heat up, guys. We got a lot to talk about, which is good.
And Mike and I were talking off camera. We might even add Shogun to the mix down the road. So it's very possible with that show. So
I was excited about Shogun. I mean, I know we're here to talk about Star Wars, but I will just tell you right now, I was excited to watch Shogun.
Yeah.
But then I watched the first 2 episodes, and I got that feeling that you get when you're like, oh, this is fucking great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you haven't watched Shogun yet, if you're just about, scum and villainy in a galaxy far, far away, take a break from Star Wars and go check out Shogun.
Yeah. And you might think, why are we making this connection? It's not dealing with Star Wars. Well, Star Wars, of course, George Lucas influenced by a lot of Akira Kurosawa stuff, Kurosawa being Japanese, but also the samurai stuff. And there's samurai elements both in Shogun and here in Star Wars for sure. But let's get into this particular episode. Oh, I like how I wrapped that up there. Let's get into this particular episode.
And the Western influences. And the Western influences.
Oh, God. Yes. God forbid. And the Western influences. Please don't come after me.
You got to talk about both.
One tweet. My life's been a living hell ever since. Anyway, all right. Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 4, A Different Approach here. Directed by Brad Rao and Sal Ruiz. Written by Ezra Nachman. A lot going on in this episode, deceptively a lot going on, even though it's a quieter episode. Mike, you had this first 3 episodes where a lot happened here. You have Omega and Crosshair escaping from Mount Tantus, Hunter and Wrecker trying to find Omega. That was the first 3 episodes. Now we're on this. We're on this bottle episode. Here's what we get with Omega and Crosshair landing on the planet Lao. Their ship is destroyed, so they've got to go and get another ship. They figure out how to bribe one of these people here on the space dock to get to the ship. They need 30,000 credits. Omega tries to do a little rounders action, gets in trouble with one of the Imperial captains there. They end up on the space dock after Batcher's been taken. Crosshair initially doesn't want to go with Omega, then eventually concedes and shows up there to help Omega. They have a big old fight on the space dock. They end up getting on the ship, taking off. There's a reunion there between Omega, Crosshair, Hunter, and Wrecker, and we know that Hemlock is late trying to get to Omega and Crosshair after he's threatened the life of Nala Se, so to speak, for not having found the M counts with Omega. So a lot in the episode, although a quieter episode that moves at its own pace. What did you think overall of this one?
All in all, what I think is, thank God Bad Batch finally got on a good pace. Took them a couple of seasons, but I was like, we talked about this last week after the first 3 episodes that, if this week ended up, now this was technically sort of a bottle episode to your point, sure. Like it is very focused on Omega and Crosshair, they're on this planet. They got to get off the planet.
Yeah.
But it picks up right where we left off last week. Like it picks up right with they made it out of Tantus. They escaped on a ship.
Yeah.
The Imperials hit the ship. The ship wasn't in great shape. They crash land. A bunch of shit happens. They get off the planet. They meet up with Hunter and Wrecker, which some people were thinking was going to be, oh, are we going to have to go through an entire season of these people all missing each other?
Yeah.
And we didn't. We like get to the end. We get to the Hunter Wrecker reunion, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yep.
But like, this is the pace that I've always wanted Bad Batch to have. I want this, like, one thing leads to the next thing, leads to the next thing. Sure, you can stop along the way and help these people on this planet and these people in this outpost that need this stuff, but this is all about the bigger story. Like, this is, like, you can tell they're closing in on the end of the story they wanted to tell, and it's just really, really great. I mean, and then, yes, a beautiful episode, just visually. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this episode actually is you can really see where just in little ways the show is visually bridging the gap from the prequels into the original trilogy.
Ooh,
in
can you
just a lot of
the bit?
Well, yeah, like, so even when you look at when we get to the planet, when Crosshair and Omega steal some outfits.
Yes.
So that they don't look like clones who just escaped Mount Tantus.
Right.
The outfits, the padding, the hats, it all like is very reminiscent of like the Rebel outfits on Hoth.
Right.
You know, there's just sort of these kind of things, and like even in the Imperial base, like the way it's set up, like the fencing on the Imperial base, it's that kind of oval shapes inside a black thing that looks like the hallways of the Death Star. So, you know, you've kind of like we've shifted from, and I mean, the most obvious is that the stormtroopers are now basically fully stormtroopers.
Yes.
Like, we're not, these aren't clone troopers. These aren't clones kind of easing their way into stormtroopers. Like, these, when you look at all these stormtroopers walking around this town, this looks like stormtroopers walking around Mos Eisley in the original trilogy. This isn't clone troopers. This isn't a transition. So you can sort of see that the world around them is getting closer to what we know from the original trilogy, and just it's in little ways that kind of key you off that what that really means is the Empire has won. The Empire's taken over. Like, this is the world we're living in now. And I think it was really just a feast for the eyes, as Bad Batch always is. But yeah, I think taking the time to really focus on Crosshair and Omega together. Because although they've been together on Mount Tantus technically, and we saw Omega in the first 3 episodes kind of going to visit him in the prison.
Right.
We got a taste of them working together when they escaped in the 3rd episode. But then this episode, we really get to see them battling out with their 2 sort of completely different ideologies on how to deal with stuff.
Yeah, and that's where I want to start. This was this could be one of those episodes that people go, oh, here we go, another episode of the week or adventure of the week or whatever. But I think what really highlighted this episode, and that's due to the writing from Ezra Nachman, is the conversations that are happening between Crosshair and Omega, these 2 different philosophies. And I get it. Some people might watch Omega and be super frustrated because she always wants to do the right thing. You know, she wants to go back there and save the prisoners on Tantus. She wants to save the animals that are in the cages there. Never mind that she just got out of a cage herself. Never mind that she was feeding Batcher and other animals there as part of her daily duties. So she's a little more, she connects to this a little bit more. She feels this a little bit more as something that recently occurred to her. But Crosshair is a guy who's been raised to be, in essence, an assassin, a person who looks out for himself, who survives, looks out for the crew that was part of the Bad Batch, but also because it served his overall purpose. And here we see their philosophy slamming together throughout this entire episode. I think it's fascinating. She's the one getting them into these situations. She's the one telling him, kind of like T2, don't kill. That's your new order. Don't kill. So in a way, it has shades of that as well, where they're interacting and going through the things they're going through. He pulls back a little bit, lets her do it her way, lets the bribe happen, lets the game happen. And then it's right at the end on the space dock that she finally acquiesces and says, okay, let's do it your way, which kind of worked out anyway for both of their points of view. So what did you think about these battling philosophies throughout the whole episode? Did you like it or did it irritate you at times?
No, I think to your point, it was really good writing, because an episode like this could be really annoying.
Yes.
But a couple things that I think made it work. One, Omega's good.
Yeah.
Like, I think maybe they could have, over the first 2 seasons, nuanced the way that Omega worked with the team, and we could have, like, you know, really kind of built some bigger stories around it. But they got us to a good place where the Omega that we've seen in season 3, the Omega that escapes from Mount Tantus when Nala Se says go, the Omega that works with Crosshair to get off Mount Tantus, and this Omega is capable. This isn't a naive person who is like, I just want to do the right thing and don't want anyone to get hurt. Like, she's got solutions.
Yeah.
She's got the goods. When she's like, hey, we're gonna go in here, I'm gonna play some cards. We're gonna do some sabacc, and we are going to win some money. And she does it. And I think the other thing they do is they allow Crosshair. And look, Crosshair's been through it.
Yeah.
He's got a shaky hand. He's not top tier Crosshair, and maybe that's part of the reason. But but not even just physically. Crosshair has really, everything he believed about good soldiers follow orders and the Empire and everything has just been shaken to his core. And maybe because of that, even though he puts up an argument and he grumbles throughout this episode, he lets Omega take lead.
Yes.
And the other thing that I think works really well about this, which you brought up, is that at the end, this is not an episode that says, oh, Crosshair's violent ways are bad. Omega's ways are good. Omega gets them all the way to a certain point, and then Omega looks at Crosshair and says, all right, buddy, go to town.
Yeah, basically.
So she's not like a pacifist. She's not like, I don't want to hurt anybody. Like, the Empire's the bad guys, and she's like cool with that. She just wants to try and do it other ways. So I think watching the two of them really work together, and watching the way Crosshair does for the majority, he's like that cranky uncle who's like, all right, I'm going to let you do what you want to do, but I'm going to sit over here in the corner so when the shit hits, I'm ready to pull you out of it. But sure, let's see, kid. But I think he gains some respect for her. And I think that's all really important for the way the episode ends, where that reunion moment happens and we're like, how are Hunter and Wrecker going to deal with this? You know what I mean? So I think that the entire episode is a fun mini adventure side quest that builds emotionally to that moment when Crosshair walks down out of the ship at the end. And because like at that point, I believe fully after seeing them go on this adventure together, like I think had you skipped this episode, had Omega and Crosshair just left Mount Tantus and met up with Hunter and Wrecker, Omega's obviously gonna try and defend Crosshair because that's who she is, but like you're like, I mean, you didn't yeah, sure, you got him out so he was with you, but like having them go on this adventure and having him really let her take lead, I now fully believe that Omega's gonna be like, guys, we can trust this. We can trust him. And we as the audience trust him now.
Yes. Now we as the audience are on board. And I think that's what the episode really kind of accomplished, is to get us on board with Crosshair in this change. Because you're right. I mean, Crosshair from last season, no way he's taking orders from Omega. No way is he following Omega or letting her take the lead or letting her, go into these situations and be the one who's trying to get the money and get the credits and whatever. No way that Crosshair does it from season 2 or season 1. This Crosshair does, because Michael, as you accurately pointed out, he is now questioning all of his orders, so he's in a state of transition about what to do with his life and what his way of acting should be. He falls back on his training. He falls back on his conditioning in certain moments, but clearly it's not as strong as it used to be as a motivation for him, because he allows Omega to take the lead in certain moments throughout this episode. And I think it's important because, it's like Harry Potter, right? You have the young kid, the initial people around the young kid, it's a softer thing. Like Tech was like helping her with this, Hunter, Wrecker, they're all there for her. Echo, they're all there for her to help her and all this kind of stuff. Crosshair is out. Crosshair is betrayed. Crosshair is doing his own thing. So now that she's gotten older, now she's more exposed to this other older guy who's going to make things a lot more grayer for her. And how is she going to deal with that? Like Potter moving into Azkaban, it's a different situation than those first 2 Potter films. So she is more open to these grayer areas, and she's going to stay true to who she is, but she might also see some reasoning in the gray areas and actions of people. So you're right. When they come down the platform there, we're on Crosshair's side by the end of the episode, because we see what he's done. He's come back for her. He's come to save her. So there is a hero in there who was just misguided, and we'll see how this this whole thing goes down. So let's move into that next section here. The final moment here as they come down the platform. This was beautifully shot. My God, the direction on this was incredible. The lighting pulling back all the way out so you can see the distance. Obviously a figurative and literal distance between them there, seeing the beautiful reunions with Omega and Wrecker at first, and then Hunter, which I thought was really sweet, like a father to a daughter. That was awesome. And then Crosshair comes down, and brother, there's no conversation. The way it's shot with Hunter, with a Wrecker in the foreground and Hunter in the background, with the looks, Crosshair not giving anything either, just looking at them, not sheepishly, very strong. And I love that ending. And then it goes to black frame. So, I mean, and the music cue was fantastic as well. So what did you think about this moment? What did you think about the silence? What did you think about the reunion here with Omega and Wrecker and Hunter? And then the final look they have with each other.
I mean, to me, I will say, like, when they first left the planet, and I didn't know we were going to get that ending, I was like, all right. I mean, this episode was actually really nice. It was nice to spend time with these two and see how they work together. But 100%. Like we just, okay, well, we're back to square one. We're back to just like, we're going to have another episode where they're going to look for them. And we're going to, like, I thought we were going to sort of get into that Bad Batch pacing of let's drag this out as much as we can. But then when we cut to them kind of coming into the rendezvous, I was like, oh, okay. This is the pacing I like. Yeah. And then it was every moment was beautiful. Like the fact that it was Omega and Wrecker first was lovely because Wrecker is the big brother. He's the other kid in the family. You know what I mean? Like, so the fact that these two run out and like that wide shot of them just running at each other, and he was so happy. Like it was just a beautiful, emotional moment. And it really hit. Like it was really affecting. I was so happy that these two got back together. And then Hunter comes out. And, it's because Wrecker says, we crossed the galaxy 4 times back and forth to find you. And then Hunter comes out and says 5 times. And then he looks at her and he says, we looked everywhere for you, but it's you who found us. Yeah. And that is completely Hunter being like, I am so proud. Yeah. Like he was so worried about her. And he is like the father figure of this group. Yeah. And for him to be like, damn, I was so worried that we were going to have to rescue you, but you did it yourself and you found us. Like, this is great. So it's this beautiful moment that then is sort of cut with Omega being like, well, I didn't do it myself. And then Crosshair comes down and just the looks between all of them is just it's complicated. Yeah. Like it's complicated moment because you are our brother. We have gone on so many missions together. But then when Order 66 happened, we fell apart. You made your choices. We made our choices. We have fought each other a lot. Yeah. And just all of that is said without any of it actually having to be said. Like it's just there with the looks and the amazing score that Kevin Kiner brings to it. Yeah. And then the episode ends with the promise of, oh wow, things are about to get interesting. Yeah. And that's just within the social dynamics of our heroes. That doesn't even get into the fact that Hemlock and the Empire are hot on their trail after he went and like faced off with Nala Se, because the Empire is like, guys, we all know Palpatine somehow is going to return and we got to make sense of it. Go get that fucking kid.
Yeah, I agree, man. It was a fantastic ending, and I did not anticipate that they would. I was with you. I thought it was going to be like 3 or 4 episodes before they reunited. The fact that they reunited them that fast, I think, is fantastic. And we're now all together, and there's going to be battles. There's going to be questions. There's going to be mistrust. He's got to earn their trust back. And will Crosshair even want to earn their trust back? And what mistakes is he possibly going to make while he's following his conditioning, but still in this place of transition about how to behave and how to function in this new existence that he's in? I think is just ripe for great conflict and emotional back and forth between these characters. So that's going to be fun to see story wise. And then Omega being the one that's like trying to bring the divorced parents together, trying to be the one that's like, we've all got to get along. We've all, that voice of pureness, goodness that wants what's best for everybody. How much is she going to have to be the one that makes this all happen? So it's going to be really, really interesting. And when the rest of the Bad Batch comes in, what's their interactions going to be? So there's a lot here coming with them for sure. But then, as you mentioned, we do have Dr. Hemlock there, or we have Hemlock there doing what he's doing, essentially threatening Nala Se, even though Nala Se quickly is, she's probably prepared for this moment just in case, talking about a false positive. And we'll see once we get a hold of Omega. So clearly we can keep Nala Se in a state of, I think a state of purgatory for now. And then eventually, once they catch Omega, what's that going to lead to with Nala Se? So did you like what we got here with Hemlock, even though it was a couple of scenes, and the lieutenant, the Captain Mann, rather, that Imperial officer getting himself killed by that Rantha from Force Awakens? So what do you think of all of that here with the Imperial stuff? Yeah.
So I think I'll first on Hemlock, I'll say he's just a great villain.
Yes.
Great villain. He does that sort of simmering evil thing really great. He's not blowing up. He's not freaking out. He goes in to talk to Nala Se. He knows Nala Se's lying. Nala Se knows that Hemlock knows that she's lying. Yeah. But they're both just going to do this dance. And it's because they're, what's interesting about the Hemlock Nala Se thing, and this kind of also ties into what I really liked about the Imperial officer this week is, Star Wars sometimes when it comes to its Imperial officers can tend to be a little broad.
Sure.
A little mustache twirly. I'm looking at you, new trilogy. But it gets a little bit like, okay, we're the bad guys, so we're just gonna scream at you with a British accent a lot. And Hemlock and Nala Se, they're kind of locked in this dance because until he works out everything he needs to work out and getting Omega back and testing her, Kaminoans are the masters of cloning.
Yeah.
And all of and Nala Se's kind of, as far as we can tell, all that's left. There, she's what the Empire's got. Yeah. So he can't just beat her up. He can't just shoot her in the head.
Right. He
kind of needs her. Right. So he's sort of letting her live out this lie. But as soon as he gets Omega back and gets the Imperial scientists to figure out whatever they need to figure out about her M count, Nala Se is done. But because it's a more interesting dynamic than just, I'm the big bad guy, I'm going to scream at you. Yeah. And similarly with the Imperial officer this week, what was his name?
Captain Mann. Yeah. Captain
Mann. I thought he was really interesting for an Imperial. I mean, he did exactly the role of what an Imperial officer did. He is I love that he was kind of overweight. He had a little bit more of an interesting and unique design than the Imperial officers tend to have. But what I also liked is that he didn't just come in and arrogantly tell everybody that he was going to fuck them over. Yeah. He's clearly running this town. He's doing his thing, but he sat down and played a game with Omega. And when she beat him, he was like, yep, you sure did beat me. Wow, that was really fun. Thank you so much. Oh, by the way, there is a fine for gambling. Oh, by the way, I stole your pet, and now you need to pay the fine again. But it was much more of this weird duplicity. It was more fun as opposed to just let me tell you something, rebel scum. Which, look, I love a good rebel scum line as much as the next guy, but I do like the variation here. It was kind of fun to see him sit down and play a game with her, and not just when she beat him, knock everything off the table and be like, well, nobody beats me. He was a little bit more subtle about it, which I thought was fun.
I agree. Harry Lloyd, who voiced the character of Captain Mann, I thought he was fantastic in the role as well. And you're right. And look, I think they made him overweight to kind of symbolize the gluttony of what's going on on this planet, right? That the Empire has overrun this planet so much, and they're just taking their fill of whatever they want to take their fill of and doing whatever they want to do. This is not the Imperial soldiers at the top. This is the people out on these planets, out on these outposts, who are doing whatever they want to do. Probably have hardly any overwatch or anybody overlooking them and looking over their shoulders. They're doing whatever they want to do. So having him be this kind of gluttonous guy, I think, works for the visual aspect of it all. And then, having him do what he did there, it's a $10,000 fine and it's a $5,000 fine for you to get the pep. So they had enough to leave. They had $30,000 left over after the $45,000 dole out for these quote unquote fines. They could have left, but Omega doesn't. And so it's an interesting battle there on the thing, on the post there.
They had $35,000 when they walked out of the bar.
That's what I'm saying.
And the little kid charged them $5,000.
Right.
So they had exactly $30,000 left, and then homeboy Imperial officer wanted 10, so they would not have had enough money to leave at that point. That's when Omega was like,
right. What? When you mean when they got to the space dock, or do you mean when they came? Because when they came out of the bar, homie had already taken 10, then the kid took 5, so that left them with 30. Yes. And I'm saying they could have left, right?
Yes, at that point they could have left.
That's what that's what I'm saying.
Right. Got it.
That's when Omega threw the money at Crosshair and said, "Go if you want to go. I'll find my way." I gotta
go find Betcha.
Right. And I like that was because of what the Imperial officer was doing. And so she had a choice there. So the Imperial officer served a point in this whole episode in the overall storyline between Crosshair and Omega. So I like that was all weaved in instead of, as you said, just kind of an Imperial officer being a dick or twirling the mustache. There was more to all of it, which I appreciate.
And now all the interplay with the two of them, because like she basically tells Crosshair, "Get out of here! I'm gonna go find my dog."
Yeah.
And he's like, "It's a fucking dog. Let's get out of here." And she's like, "I'm getting my dog." And then he does come back, and he's like, "All right, fine."
Yeah.
And then there's that moment where she's like, "Should we free all the other animals?" And he's like, "Don't push it."
I love that.
Like it's a nice like it was like, okay, like we're gonna rescue your dog, but let's just tone it down a notch, kid.
Yeah.
I think that's what's kind of fun about Crosshair as a character. Like it was like the dynamic between them was really nice.
Yeah, and I love the irony because it's Crosshair who's going to be the dog that Omega vouches for and saves in this situation with Hunter and Wrecker. So, her tendency to save the broken ones is
save the strays.
Save the strays is a huge element of her. So it's going to bear fruit for Crosshair down the road, ironically. So any final words on this episode, brother? Anything we missed that you want to make sure we highlight?
Just that one, I think that when all is said and done, the Crosshair episodes across all these seasons have been the best.
Yes, agreed.
Crosshair's story has been the best part of Bad Batch, in my opinion. And I think by the end of this journey, I'm not sure what happens with Crosshair, but I think that they've known from the get-go what they wanted to do with him. And I think that coming out of Bad Batch, when all is said and done, we're all going to look back on this and like Crosshair is going to be, I think, Omega might be the one that's the most important for somehow Palpatine returns, but Crosshair, I think, is going to be, when it comes to the ending of the story of the clones, I think is going to be one of the more important things that we remember. And then also what I'm excited about is because we finally got this reunion and we don't have to spend half of a season watching them try and meet up with each other. Like now I want them to get back with Rex and Echo. Like I want to get to the bigger story because this is the end for the clones.
Yeah.
Like we'll get a few stragglers here and there. We'll get this new Star Wars trilogy and they'll bring Tamora Morrison in to be some other clone that we didn't know about. But aside from Rex and the guys in Star Wars Rebels, like this is sort of the epilogue of the clone story post season 7 of Clone Wars. And I think it's going to be really sad and tragic for all of us that love the clones.
If they lead to a Rogue One finale with this crew and they do it right, there's going to be a lot of tears shed across the Star Wars universe fandom for sure. And I hope they do, because right now, the first 4 episodes, they're starting out in the right way. And I'm excited to see what we're going to get. And again, the animation here in this episode, fucking stellar. Absolutely gorgeous. From the overhead shots of the city to being in the city itself to going out to that space dock and everything that you saw in between, and especially those final shots when they reunion, just beautiful, beautiful animation from top to bottom, man. All right, well, there you go. That's our spoiler review for episode 4 here of season 3 of The Bad Batch, A Different Approach. We appreciate you all watching or listening to us. Michael, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, if you would like to follow us, I can't tell you where to do it because we have the Geek Bites logo up and I don't know where we are. But there it is. If you would like to follow us, you can do so on Twitter at geek_buddies and on Instagram at _geek_buddies. And if you would like to follow John, you can do so at the Rocha Says. You could do me at MKToon. And after you're done doing us, you can hit that like button below, subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page, check out all the amazing content he has got there. Leave your comments below. What do you think of season 3 of The Bad Batch so far? What do you think of Omega? What do you think of Crosshair? What do you think of the gang? Let us know below. If you're listening to us on a podcast, go ahead and leave us some stars and some comments so we go up in the rankings and more people can find us. And as always, the best thing you can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, and tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
There you go. Thank you all so much. We appreciate it madly. And don't forget, we've got a live episode of Geek Buddies coming at 6 p.m. PT this Friday. We've got some reviews coming up for Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action one, and for Dune Part 2 later on next week. So we'll let you know about all of that. So follow us on all our social media for those updates. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here of the Geek Bites, brought to you by the
Geek
Buddies.